While the passport bros have gotten a lot of criticism and scrutiny for exploring their options and going abroad, Black men are not the only ones grabbing the passport. I mean, Black women have been grabbing the passports for decades, and this trend does not seem to be slowing down anytime soon. So I recently ran across this video of a Black American woman who ended up marrying a Nigerian man, and she was sharing a rather interesting experience of what happened when she decided to test him. I'm going to play it for you guys, and then we're going to break it down because there's a lot to unpack here.
Let me tell you about a time I tried to leave my husband in Nigeria and walk away from him. So we were out and about and we got into an argument, and I can't really remember what the argument was about now.
She literally said, I can't even remember what the argument was about now. You already know that means it was nothing significant. Also notice her tone of voice. She's smiling, she's giggling. That probably means she knows she's out of pocket. She knows she's out of pocket because if her husband did something wrong and dirty, she probably would be a little salty about it, or she may not even talk about it, right? Because she doesn't want to open up that wound. But the fact that she's laughing and giggling about this fight, I'm like, she probably knows she was out of pocket. But let's continue.
But I remember I was really mad, and we were almost home, and I asked him to pull over. I told him, I said, just let me out this car. Just, I'll walk. So after saying that over and over again and then trying to get out the car my own self, he stopped the car and he was like, okay, get out. And even though I knew where I was at, I was like, I thought I knew where I was at. I was, it seemed like we were close to where we were going and I could walk from there. So I got out of the car, not knowing at the time that my phone was connected to his hotspot.
Wait. Okay, let me rewind this, y'all. She's in Nigeria. She's in her husband's country. This is a American woman, so I'm assuming she's not familiar with that country, that area, likely not as acclimated to that culture. Where are you going? You're getting out. You're trying to get out of a car. It's probably hot, first of all, because Nigeria is not cold. So you're trying to get out to walk in hot weather to where? To an area where you don't know? Like, just a bad idea. You know you're out of pocket when you're so angry, you're making decisions that don't make sense. Why would you go into a foreign country where you don't really know anybody? Your man is your protection. And then now you're fighting over the very person who would likely protect you from harm or keep you from being taken advantage of because you're clearly a foreigner. Like, it's just the logic isn't there. But this is what happens sometimes when we get in our feelings, when we get prideful, logic goes out the window. But let's continue.
And I wouldn't have any service. So as I was packing my things to get out the car, I was saying what I had to say to him, fussing him and things like that. And he was saying, what he had to say to me. And,
she was wrong.
I got out the car like, oh, well. So he pulls off and so I started trying to use my phone and it just hit me, okay, I don't have any network. So I'm like, oh my God, did he really leave me? So I started to panic. So
the worst thing sometimes is for men to give you what you say you want. There are certain women out there who will they will test. Some guys would say, look, all women test. Maybe that's true, right? But sometimes like women just have this need to just test, to just see how far they can go. And they say things and they insinuate things and they threaten things, never actually considering that what if this man actually does it? And so the worst thing sometimes for a woman is for the man to actually do the thing that she's been saying all along. Here's a prime example. She's trying to get out the car to go where? Who knows? To do what? Walk in hot Nigerian day, right? No service, inability to call anybody. So again, it's just all bad. But I'm saying this is what happens sometimes when logic goes out the window and we're so in our feelings. And sometimes it can be over the silliest things. The craziest thing about this entire video so far is that she literally started off the video by saying, I don't even know what we were arguing about. Just goes to show how sometimes people can get so in their feelings and so upset over things that don't really matter. And in doing so, put themselves in danger. because what she just said, she doesn't have a phone, she doesn't know where she's going, she probably doesn't know anybody around her, her protection is not gone. This is actually a dangerous situation. But let's continue.
So this couple was walking like towards us, and I guess they heard us arguing, and they were looking at me like I was crazy, like I was a mad woman because I was yelling. And so after Zeki pulled off, I was like, excuse me, can I use your phone? And they were just looking at me like something was wrong with me.
Because their probably was. They're probably looking at her like, this disrespectful, crazy woman. I mean, I don't know what part of Nigeria she was in. I don't know. I know there's some parts that are predominantly Muslim, some parts that are predominantly Christian, but either or, it's overall a pretty conservative country that has a very strong respect of elders and has very clearly defined rules and just overall decorum. And so I can't imagine this couple who walked by her were used to seeing someone act so belligerent. And again, this is based upon what she said. She's even alluded to the fact that she knows she was yelling and acting crazy, trying to get out the car. So nobody in the right mind wants to get involved in somebody else's mess. And this might be the case for this Nigerian couple. Look, I've even heard of instances in some places in Africa where if a woman sees you acting out of pocket, the woman of that village or of that area will come up and check you. Some of them will even check you with their hands. So she's probably in a place where they are not used to that kind of behavior, and they're like, you are crazy, maybe this is some juju, this is some witchcraft, whatever, but they're like, I want nothing to do with it.
Like I had two heads or something. Because I was really showing out, y'all. I was showing out. But they just kept walking. They didn't stop. They didn't say like, what's wrong? They were just looking like, what?
They actually could have thought that she was possessed. Like, high key, I feel like they were like, this girl is under some spell or some influence, and I'm not trying to get involved.
What's wrong with this lady? And and usually, y'all know I don't really talk in public, but I was talking that day, and I was like, excuse me, did y'all hear me? Can I use your phone?
No.
I just need to use your phone. And you would have thought that they were deaf, because they were just like walking and staring at me and totally ignoring what I was asking them to do. So after I saw that, no one was going to help me,
nope.
And I was afraid to ask anybody else to use their phone, I started walking in the direction that I thought that he was going. And when I got to the place where I thought where my turn was, I noticed it was not the same place. It looked like the place, but it was not the same place. So I really didn't know where I was at. So at this point, I'm lost.
So, okay, let's just rewind. So her protection is gone. She doesn't have no service. Nobody around there's trying to help her. She's lost. She don't know where she's going. Now she has to ask herself, was it worth it? Was whatever this argument was that she can't even remember, was it worth it? Was it worth it, me now having to face this situation? Now, in retrospect, I'm sure she could say no. But again, this just goes to show how sometimes the things that people get arguments for, it can be so petty, but it can also be dangerous. And the last thing you want to do is pick an argument or engage in an argument in a foreign country where you don't know anybody. Because God forbid you try to be strong-willed and be independent in a country where women don't operate like that. Again, that could literally cost you your life or put you in danger. So, I mean, the good news is that she's now laughing about this. This sounds like this was a teachable moment for her. And I bet you she learned submission that day. But in general, this is just not something that you would want to do if you could at all avoid it.
Again, I started to panic. I was like, oh my God, where am I at? I was like, Lord, please, please. And I'm still pressing this phone like it's really going to work. So after standing there, I just stood there because I didn't want to go somewhere where he couldn't find me. So I just stood there and I was just crying. And I was like, what in the world? Why did I even get out the car? And how can he just leave me like this? I was so mad. So after being there for probably about a half hour or so, I just started like yelling.
Oh God, you made it worse. Oh my God.
I was acting a fool. I started yelling and I was like, can someone help me?
Oh my gosh. Again. It's the good news is that she's able to look back and laugh at herself, and that this was a teachable moment, a laughable moment, whatever. But this actually could have been dangerous. She could have been hurt. She could have been assaulted. She could have ended up in jail. Like, this could have probably been 10 times worse. So praise the Lord that none of that happened. But again, something tells me she learned and understood the value of submission that day. Anyways, let's continue.
I was hot. I was bothered. I wanted some water, and I was fed up. I was pissed off. I was so mad at him. I was like, how could he just leave me like this? So, like I said, after a while, he came back, and it was probably like 30 minutes later. He came back, and he was like, get in the car. And I was like, no, I'm not getting anywhere. I'm not going anywhere with you. I'm going back home. Just take me to the airport. He was like, okay, I'll take you to the airport. Just get in the car. I was like, no. And I'm still being stubborn.
Why is she saying no? She don't know where she's at. She don't know where to go. She doesn't know anybody. Nobody's going to help her. She doesn't have any money, any resources. She doesn't have phone connection. Why is she sitting there saying no to somebody who's trying to help her? She said it because she's being stubborn. Sometimes stubbornness gets in the way of our healing and our help. Let that be a word. Let that be a lesson. Sometimes stubbornness gets in the way of our healing and our help. Don't let that be you.
The way that sun was beaming down on me, and how thirsty I was, and how irritated I was not about to let him pull off again, because he showed me the first time that he would.
Do it.
So I knew, okay, my tantrum is going to have to end soon. This tantrum I'm having is going to have to end soon, because I'm not about to stand out here for another 30.
Notice she said tantrum. She said tantrum again. She's using these words the way she's describing it. She's looking back at herself and knowing that she's out of pocket. I started this video, and with every single moment, it's been confirmed. Tantrum is usually something that you associate with a child, not a grown woman. But clearly we see sometimes even grown adults can get into tantrums.
So he warned me again, Cammy, get in the car. If you want to go to the airport, I'll take you to the airport, but just get in the car. And I was like, just standing there, not saying anything, just staring at him. He said, I'm going to give you 2 minutes to get in the car. And when I tell you, it was seconds before that 2 minutes was up, he was the wheels was rolling. I was like, let me in. Y'all. You should have seen me trying to jump in that car. You would think I was one of the actors on the Dukes of Hazzard. I was trying to jump in that car so quick. And I was like, you know what? I say, take me to the airport right now. Right now. He started driving off, and when he turned, I saw exactly where we were. And we were I was like right around the corner from the place that we were going to. So everything clicked on me. I just turned too quick, and I so it didn't look familiar. And he said, Kemi, I was right there watching you the whole time. He said, I saw you acting the fool, talking to yourself, yelling and screaming. He was like, you holler too much, oh. He said, you holler too much. And I was like, I'm still staring at him because I'm still mad. I was like, go get me some water, please. Please, just give me some water. You know, acting really entitled, and just I was acting up.
She admits it.
And then he was like,
she admits it. She said, I was acting up. Not once in here did she say, well, my husband, this, and that. Not once did she say that he did anything that was wrong. I mean, he literally was sitting there watching her the whole time. So although she put herself in danger, I mean, that was still a good move. I mean, he was still being a good husband by doing that, by watching her and making sure that she actually didn't get in harm's way, because that could have been dangerous depending upon the situation or the area. So, yeah, so he still did right by her. He left her in the car, but was watching her the whole time, making sure that she was honestly protected. And she's still acting the fool even in that car. She's still doing it.
you know, he didn't get me the water, and he was like, just hold on. He said, hold on. I said, Ziggy, I'm thirsty. I've been standing in the sun. He was like, he said, whose problem is that? Whose problem? He said, y'all American women are too entitled. He
Ooh,
said, you cannot act like that. You cannot act like that.
good for him.
I'm telling you,
Good for
I'm
him.
telling you, the more he spoke, the more I got angry. But then I got to thinking, do I want to stand in the sun again? Or do I want to just be in this car with some AC and then eventually get some? I will never, ever, ever do that again. I learned my lesson. I learned my lesson. I had my tantrum for that day, but honey, that Nigerian heat is no joke.
Yeah.
And these African men are stubborn. You can't get away with the same kind of wahala that you do here with the men in the States. I'm telling you. So if you're in an argument, don't get out the car. Stay in the car.
Wow. She was out of pocket. She even said that, and at the end, she even said, she's like, you can't get away with the same BS basically with these Nigerian men that you can with men in the States. So honestly, shout out to her husband for putting down some boundaries, because God forbid he just let her act a fool. That behavior would have continued. I mean, I think she really said it all. They do things differently in Africa. Okay. They just do things differently. The respect is there. Respect for elders is there. Decorum is there. Cultural expectations and gender roles. So you just can't do the step out here and think you can do it over there and get away with it. It's just not going to work. Somebody's going to check you. If it's not the man, it's going to be the woman in the community, or in some cases, you might end up behind bars or underground. So it's just, don't even try it. I do think that was a prime example of the purpose and the function of submission. Submission is not, this man gets to do whatever he wants all the time and I am a carpet that he just steps on. Submission a lot of times is for your own protection. And that was a prime example of somebody leaving her covering for a dumb reason. It wasn't like he was beating her or doing something crazy to where she needed to escape. It was an argument that didn't even sound like it was worthwhile, and she can't even remember it. She was the one that was acting a fool based upon her own words. So ladies, you don't want to leave your covering. We get to remember that submission is actually for our own benefit. And sometimes when you're young in marriage or whatever, these lessons come hard, but hopefully you eventually learn it for your own safety and ultimately for the health and the happiness of that relationship and marriage. So shout out to that husband for maintaining healthy boundaries and still protecting and watching her, but doing so from a position of strength and making sure that behavior does not continue. Shout out to him. Anyways, that's what I have. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know. Leave your questions, comments, concerns in the comment section below. Thank you so much for listening if you've gotten this far, and we'll talk later. Bye.